Welcome back to the kickoff. It really doesn't feel like the kickoff anymore. It's just the KG show and we're just fucking guests, aren't we? FA Cup winner KG joins us live from Old Trafford. The party has started. God help me.
I just want to talk to you guys. Again, I'm with the two best people that I could ever be with right now. Listen, you guys are firmly in the mud. I heard a song that you're singing. I heard the songs. Newcastle fans giving it Europe. What now? You ain't getting to know Europe, man. It's over. And then this guy, Mr. Josh, you were giving it large as well. And I told you guys, this is the best I told you. So anyway, and you know what? Let's start with Mr. True Geordie. How are you, mate? No Europe for you. The floor's yours.
The Geordies made a lot of Europe. We were hopeful to be in Europe, but I think deep down, it's not the Champions League anyway, is it? You know, we knew what we were doing.
Oh, no. You know what? Singing that on the day. We're not doing that today. You are not going to be a disgrace. I've sat on many a show. You said the only United is us. You're not in Europe. I remember the finger pointing, looking across the table. And that's a very big table. Amazing table, by the way. Legendary table. But guess what? Right now, that table, you're not watching no European games. You're just focused on the Premier League. Eddie Howe, sit down. You haven't even got a manager as well. Listen, Josh, don't go nowhere. You've been a prick as well. I'm on you.
mate, I don't know how you could be so cocky and have the worst season that Man United have ever had in the Premier League and the worst Champions League season. Let him go. And now you're coming at us. You're coming at us about FA Cups.
I've got silverware, mate.
They've just knocked Chelsea into the Europa Conference. I don't know what we can say to them, unfortunately.
I think, what do you call it? Chelsea, what's it? Chelsea 4, they're going to be playing Europa League. Our survey says. Yeah. I'm doing this for all the Man United fans that are locked into the kickoff week in, week out. God, you've been seeing us. You've been seeing it. We've been getting mudded. I've never seen a Geordie man so happy to see Man United's demise. But guess what? Now it couldn't have worked out any better. This script was written by the gods. This script, again, Josh has no manager. Mr. Geordie is mudded. Alan Shearer tried to give the worst interview ever. Alan Shearer, you're an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat. Anyway, the floors, we can talk about the game because I told you I was going to win.
Okay. No, here's the thing. I have to give Man United some credit for the way they played, right? They actually were good in the game. I don't ever want to come across like I'm just a hater. And even though a lot of Man United fans think this, when I say you lot have been crap all season, it's just because I genuinely think you've been crap all season by your own standards. But in that game, you were the better side.
Yes.
Little asterisks.
What's that?
Probably Pep Guardiola's worst game ever in charge of Manchester City as manager. They were god-awful, right?
Why was that?
We know they've been on the lash for God knows how many days. They look terrible.
Here we go.
No, they did.
Here we go.
They did.
Here we go. You know what I say to that, Mr. Geordie?
You're smoking crap.
This is it.
So I'm going all locked in. I've never had my soundboard connected on the show. I never bring it, but I bought it today because I said, they're not going to stop me.
Look, I'm not. It took the two things to come together, right? It was Pep Guardiola at his most boring keep ball training session, worst. Like they had 70% possession after 37 minutes. They had one shot. I'm watching at home going, Man United deserve to be winning this game. This lot have been trash, and Man United have been like more aggressive, more direct. Pretty good. What you want to say, and you're struggling to do it, and I understand because it's hard for you to give Ten Hag credit, but I get it. Ten Hag out coach, tactics. Let me give Ten Hag credit. I want to give Ten Hag credit. I will give him credit. I'm glad that Ten Hag had the sense to make sure that the 4 most expensive players he signed did not start that game because they were trash signings, and he spooked it up all against the wall. Yes.
Listen,
Mason Mount, Casemiro, Højlund, get out of here. You don't belong here.
He started Amrabat. Remember the guy that he was complaining about?
Remember Anthony as well. Anthony, the other 4 horsemen.
Listen.
Yeah. You're a waste of time. Do you know what he says afterwards? You should have seen what a mess this club was in. I'm thinking to myself, you've made it a mess. You're just as bad. You didn't. You finished 8th.
You better listen.
You finished,
Mr. Chordy. Pipe it right down now. I'm not hearing none of your nonsense, bro. This is a Man United state to glow. I came here in a suit. It's a 3-piece. You still can't see. Literally, I've got on hard bottom shoes, bro. I'm telling you right now. I mean business.
This had injuries.
Here. Now again, we had Leach out. I don't know if you lot saw what Leach was doing, but he stopped Haaland. Haaland never had anything to do in that game. There's so many things I would like to get into in this, because should we talk about fraudulent Kevin De Bruyne? Because that's a conversation every single game. Why does he have to always run? Why is he the best player in the world? It doesn't make sense. Why is he the greatest midfielder, but he always gets hooked off? It's either hooking off because of he can't manage the game, or he gets injured. Enough's enough. They need to take him off the pedestal that they put him on. Now,
did you see the Erling Haaland stats about semi-finals and finals? It's not good news.
Not scoring.
Yeah.
About then again, Leacher, when you talk about injuries and stuff, and to give my manager some credit, and he knows it's been a disgrace and he's been a bit honest, but you can't lose the back four. There's certain players, Leach is important to the mentality. Garnacho scored a goal and he was doing the long celebration. Do you know what he did? He dragged him, pulled him in and said, no, mate, the game's still going. Now, before, Man United have leaked so many goals because the attitude, the concentration, even in-game IQ has been off. That performance was like a 1 of 1, but we're struggling to do that every single game. And that needs the manager and the players. The manager's not void in any criticism. I think some of the criticism you lot said this season is fair. But at the end of the day, the game's about winning trophies. And if I can see Mr. Jordy, no football for you, bro. You're not doing nothing, fam. You're not watching no Europe. It's Brexit settings. It's Mr. Farage settings. And that guy don't even know whose manager is.
Okay.
It's a beautiful day.
Okay, we'll get to Chelsea. But in regards to Ten Hag, for me, and Josh, I'll let you chime in after this, mate. It's like, I feel like you often use this quote of, they're Men in Blackness, right? They did the flashy thing, and then we forgot everything. There has never been a more Men in Black moment than the way Ten Hag was walking around like he owned the place after fluking an FA Cup against a team that was hungover, didn't turn up on the day. And yes, Man United did play well, but he is acting like he did not just oversee the worst Manchester United season we have ever seen. Man United have never ever viewed a League Cup and an FA Cup as the be-all and end-all until, apparently, on Sunday, where every Man United fan I could see was giving it the big one as if he just won a Champions League and Premier League double. This is the FA Cup, something that Man United fans used to go, yeah, well, if we can get one, great, but it ain't a big deal to us. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm going to keep it really honest here. I don't really give a shit about losing the Europa Conference because it's Wi-Fi passwords that you're playing in that club.
No.
But what I do care, I would be jealous of an FA Cup win. I am absolutely jealous of the Cup win. I couldn't really care too much about the European football. But for me, that does not erase everything we've seen from Man United this season at all.
Sorry, I'm just drinking these tears. Sorry, one second.
What do you reckon, Josh?
The thing that Chelsea always get battered over head with is the fact we spend all of this money, right? But we had to do that because basically what we've done is a process that you're going to exactly have to do. You've got to Varane is gone, Casemiro is gone. All of these big players that were the Galacticos, you're going to have to replace them again. That isn't free.
The point I'm making,
that doesn't
Josh,
just happen.
Just because you spend money doesn't mean you're going to finish out the league. That's the exact point I'm making. I'm saying, okay, you lot spend a lot of money. Does money equate to a league finish? No, it doesn't, especially when the money's spent badly. And that's the real point I was trying to make in that thing is that all this stuff is gonna, I get it. We don't get to just gloss over the worst season ever. Remember when was doing the manager ratings, if the season ended, I was trying to fight it, but you lot ranked it at 3. And for Man United, even if with the FA Cup, back in the day, old Man United would have looked at this season and this would have been a 2-1 in terms of how good it was. But because of where we are now, we got to be realistic.
Is that giving you hope, though? Is this FA Cup win making you look at Ten Hag and go, I've seen something here, and now I'm really beginning to believe? Because from the outside looking in, and I'm not just saying this to banter you. I know. It's a season of consistent underperforming, of players he signed not coming good, and then you win the FA Cup. And to be fair, like players who he didn't sign won you the FA Cup. A lot of the key guys who came good
Okay.
Like Bruno Fernandes, Kobbie Mainoo, players like that. Obviously, he's coaching them and he deserves a level of credit for the result.
Thank you.
But like the people he signed were dropped. The 4 biggest signings did not start this game. So you're like...
But then when
he can't be in charge of transfers this summer.
I've inherited a mess. I'm like, no, you inherited a mess. You spent 400 million, didn't make it that much better. If anything, you're now finishing worse than the guy who you inherited it off.
I'll bring in players. Leacher, that was one of his signings. And like it or not, Kobbie Mainoo and Garnacho, he has done the work on those 2 players. He started Kobbie for pre-season. Even you see the videos when he's talking to Kobbie before the final last year at the Carabao saying, next year, this has to be your turn. Garnacho, he's put so much work. Garnacho didn't start the pre-season because it was late to a training, and you can tell that he's worked on that guy's played the most games out of any teenager, the most games in Europe. Now we move into Amrabat, another player that people were judging this, that, and the other, and Amrabat was key. He's made McTominay better, and he's changed the low.
But actually, when you look at what he's capable of, I feel like it's a disappointing season because you see the levels and you're like, you're actually a decent player on your day.
Decent player.
And yet, where has this been?
He's not going to be there next season, though.
He's going to be there. He's saying.
He's not going to be there.
He's not. Stay.
No,
for a lot of people, for the longest time, that was a flop of a loan signing. And now, all of a sudden, we're revising everything all of a sudden.
Rasmus Højlund, let's not forget Rasmus. And he realized, I'm going to play like it or not, the former McTominay, we've never seen this before. McTominay was a 6, McTominay was an 8. He said, no, you know what, McTominay, because we played 4-4-2 without the ball. When we have the ball, you can see McTominay making the forward runs. He's the first manager to recognize McTominay is a true threat in the box, and he scored the most goals this season. So when you talk about what he's done, yes, there's been players that let him down, but signings can come to the club and not deliver. Signings can come to the club and you think, you know what, I wanted more from you. I can't get that from you. I have to push on. Anthony has not worked. I understand that's on Anthony. But then the other players that you can say...
Well, the biggest 4 signings he made that didn't start the game, Casemiro, Anthony, Mount and Højlund. Can we just agree on one thing?
Yeah.
This is Erik ten Hag's biggest game of his career. Right. And in those games, we all know you start your people who you truly think, I'm backing you. My job is on the line here.
Yep.
To not start 300 million roughly. I mean, I'm probably not right there, but a lot of money's worth of signings for him to not back them in that moment. It gives me like a...
No, but the game's it's a squad game. No, but it's because he knew that he was going to use Rasmus. When Rasmus came on, he helped us with the game because like it or not, we knew City was going to come at us and we needed another option. We played City early in the season and then they said to him, we were doing well for like 70 minutes. And he said, why'd you lose the game? He said, I had no bench. Now, when you look at the bench, in this game, he was able to make big changes. Coming off the bench and saying, Rasmus, go on and make them work. Let them foul you, make them do. That's a big decision. Bringing on Lindelof, bringing on Johnny Evans. These are things like, even though it's like, look at these players, like, why would you bring them in? But they're important. Mason Mount came in to shore up the game. By the way, Josh, Mason Mount has broken the Wembley curse because I know you guys...
I think, mate, I would do that transfer every day of the week or twice or Sundays. Honestly, mate,
the argument that you're making back, but I just think that like him not starting all of those big names, I don't think he could have started Casemiro.
Casemiro's injured.
Injured, terrible. Going through the worst form of his goddamn life, but we'll go with injured.
Yeah.
Regardless, you're not showing the level of faith in them that you would have expected. If you would have said at the start of the season, he's made all these signings, not one of them starts the biggest game of Ten Hag's career, it wouldn't have added up. So some of what you're saying is a fair point, but there is some of it that is like, they've just flopped as well though. Like,
and yes, and you know what? But managers,
Højlund is not as much of a flop. I don't put all of Højlund's issues on him.
Yes,
because when you get what was 5 chances created for you in 8 games, it's a disgrace what he's getting fed.
Thank you.
But whatever the reason, it ain't working regardless. It not to the way that you wanted it to. I think it will in future, but not right now.
Listen, mate, we've seen it all. We've won a lot. We're Man United and we're never going to stop. And there's never ever again say we're the Real United, because you know what went wrong? Ever since you took that picture, that's when it went to crap. You should never been in the Man United dressing room celebrating, giving it we're the Real United. Because guess what? Real United, you can't even go to the rubbish Europe. You can't even go to the newly created Europe just for you.
Oh, well done. You're in the Europa League again. Let me remind you, a competition that when Mourinho won it, you didn't give a fuck about it. It wasn't really even good enough. and now you're screaming because you've got a fucking FA Cup in your hands. Can we just remember how you guys did Mourinho, and now you're looking back and thinking we can only pray for a Europa League win now. So
listen,
how
this is
mighty
the beginning.
have fallen.
This is the beginning of the build-up. We're a sleeping giant that's waking up. This giant has been in a coma. That's what we've been in, yeah? And right now, we got our eyes, there's a twitch. You know the little twitch in the hand? You know what I'm saying? That's it. And we're coming. And I'll tell you right now, I've got my eyes on 2 trophies next season. How many of you lot can say it? What are you lot going to win next season? Geordie, I'll speak for you. You're winning absolutely nothing. Josh, find the manager first.
Mate, we're going to win loads of stuff. We're going to win the Conference League. Fucking, that's a guaranteed trophy. I don't know what you're
qualify. You're not in it yet.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, sorry. We got to beat Reykjavik or a semi-pro team. I think we'll be all right, mate. We got trains coming through a stadium.
Let's talk about how we think this impacts Ten Hag, because the thing I'm going to say honestly, and people might be surprised at this, but like, as much as I've criticised Ten Hag, I don't dislike the guy. I don't think he's a bad, like, I actually feel a bit sorry for him sometimes, even though he comes out with
things. He's got the second highest win rate other than Fergie. Yeah. He's second behind Fergie in terms of win rate for Man United managers. That is insane.
The thing is, his loss rate is incredibly high as well. So this is the weird thing about Ten Hag is, look, and I do think that people forget how much money he's had and the quality that he actually does have at his fingertips, but it was harsh to go into that game and for having everyone leak that he's getting sacked. If you're a Man United fan, which obviously KJ is a Man United fan,
yes,
you're gutted at that because the vibes couldn't have been good around that game.
It's Chelsea that leaked that. It's the Chelsea, that Steinberg guy. Yes, it is. It is.
How are we getting the blame, KT?
You lot started sniffing around other managers ultimately. So let's keep it. No, it's Sir Jim. Sir Jim fucked up the fucking the bullshit going on with.
Sir Jim's doing his due diligence. Like, as you lot said to me many times.
You're tapping people up, and Sir Jim has fucked it a bit by going to managers before it was time to, and it got leaked. Right?
All right.
Must be pretty nervous, KG, because getting rid of Ten Hag now for someone like McKenna is a complete gamble.
Not do it. Like, this is the thing. Yeah. This is the thing now. And you guys make some great points, right? But then we go into this week. McKenna was looked at by, and this is the theory, right? So this is where the conspiracy theory goes. This week was the Ineos have to do their job. If Ten Hag, everyone expected us to lose this final, except me. Yeah, everyone expected us to go into this game. Yeah, everyone expected us to lose this game.
You called it,
and I think even Man United board members believe was going to win this game. So what did they have to do? Because after 8th, minus goal difference, losing to your biggest rivals, you have to start talking to other managers. That is natural because he can't stay. Let's say this ended with nothing. I wouldn't want to be here because it's the worst season ever in our whole history. They tried to do the work. Now, what's happened is, because they move really quietly, what's happened is Chelsea have found out when they approached McKenna, he's waiting for the Man United job because he's been interviewed. Leak that story to, that story to, and that's a Chelsea report, you know. Steinberg never reports on Man United ever in his life. He leaks the story, and guess what? Because if we don't get Europe, if it messes up our preparation for the final, you guys are safe. You guys,
it's quite good logic that. I actually rate the guy doing that. That's very clever.
It makes sense because again, it's about the money.
Yeah, you don't want to be in them.
There you go. And guess what? What Ten Hag had to do, which I rate, is he said, cancel all the noise, which is hard to avoid, and say, listen, it's not about me. Let's go out and win this one. And I think the game against Crystal Palace, and this is why I believe this manager must stay. He's got these guys focused. He knew in this game's a game for my job. And yes, there was nerves, but those players played out his plan soundly. And he started to work out what he was going to do in that final. From the Arsenal game is when we started with the false 9, Bruno, and then dropping Højlund. He had this plan. So I actually say there's tactics there. Guardiola couldn't work out how to stop it. And I think that's impressive with all the things that Guardiola has on the bench. So I want this manager to stay. I don't want him to go.
What do you make of Lisandro Martinez saying, when he was asked if the players want him to stay, he said they wanted to enjoy the win, and that was a decision for the owners?
Well, you saw Lisandro shake the manager on the touchline. Like, he loves him. And even he's followed him from club to club. So I'm not so... I wish he would have said something a bit more like, we desperately need him, but I think he recognizes the position that he's in.
Do you think there's any... Do you think there's a real chance Ten Hag stays now? Because I feel like the fan base, from what and look, social media isn't the best place to look because
it's the fans in the stadium.
Yeah,
it's the fans at Wembley. At Wembley.
They want him.
Absolutely. You saw, do you know what? Ineos right now are in a very dangerous, and Man United fans, we are so, I'd call us bipolar with the emotions, because 1 minute we're like really excited. You've seen me on the show, right? I'm up and down.
But the results are bipolar. Like we've just said, Ten Hag's win ratio is good. His loss ratio is also very high. So you're going to feel bipolar because the consistency is just not there. And that's kind of why I'm unsure as to why, other than winning an FA Cup, which, all right, it's great, and I wish it was Newcastle, but equally, though, you know, if you're grading the entire season, even with an FA Cup, it's still extremely questionable.
Again, but then I think the fans in the stadium, if you now, let's say you get rid of Ten Hag and you bring in McKenna, that's a lot of work. And now what we do as Man United fans is we like to rewrite history. So when the manager leaves, we speak at anyone that leaves. We start to speak on them differently. You should hear how in the time when Ollie was here, we couldn't wait for him to be out.
Yeah.
Now everyone's like, bring him back. He helped us in the big games. No, guys, get rid of that. Ralph Rangnick played good football and told the truth against Crystal Palace for 20 minutes. He's a messiah. He's like Ralph Rangnick. Should have listened to Ralph. We've had these moments. Now you're going to tell me you get rid of Ten Hag. What they're going to say is you got rid of a manager that went to 3 finals, won 2 cups in 2 seasons. I don't know how McKenna, Ineos will be under the fire. Right now, people feel quite nice because they've been tapping up they've been tapped up Dan Ashworth, gone for Wilcox. Everything seems nice because they haven't started the work. Omar. But if they do this and get it wrong, we'll just call them Glazers.
Can we accept one thing though, right? When that board spent 400 million in the last 2 years on a team that was already in the top 6, they're wanting better than top 6. He's delivered top 4 in one of those seasons, and he's not even made top 6 in one of those seasons. So,
but then he's focused on Europe. So
he's won a couple of cups, but I understand. So Jim hasn't turned up to go, that's good enough, and he clearly doesn't think it is. So let's just round this chat off with a percentage from UKG specifically. Ten Hag in versus Ten Hag out. How confident at the start of the season are you that Ten Hag stays?
90%.
90 that he stays? Even though they've been talking to the manager?
Yep. Because he's the best candidate.
All right. We'll see. We'll see. The big time boys, Chelsea, former European champions twice, are now in the 3rd tier of European football. Josh, mate, what was your reaction to the game, the result?
Well, look, you know, I'm sure you expect me to be really down in the dumps and depressed about this, but really this is the chance for Chelsea to just complete football. We can now sing the song, we have won it all, because we are going to win that championship. It's quite easy, isn't it? And KG's playing the sad music, but actually what I'm going to say to KG is, you would love this opportunity, KG. You would love to complete football. Come on. It's the Conference League, away days, going to Iceland, going to Kazakhstan. Does that not sound romantic to you? Just enjoy it, KG.
You know, you say that, and for me, I've looked at the teams that you're playing, and I've got it here. What's the? Can you know?
What the fuck has this show turned into? What the fuck has he turned this into?
So, what the fuck? Listen, Johnny, you should never in the studio. I got the, you know, you controlled it, but right now I've got the control.
Is the worst idea
I've got my soundboard. Joey. Sorry, I'm talking to Joey as well. Joey, you man mudded. I need you lot to understand, you guys are a disgrace. You guys, and Brian, do not hold back. You better not. I want to see, no, guys, I'm talking to you direct that now. You need to let him know about all the money spent, all the signings, all the, to go to the conference.
We finished you above you in the league. We finished way above you. Way above you, KG.
I'm waiting for the hell. I'm waiting for Mr.
Mate, we beat you with a team of kindergarteners.
Right,
we literally beat you.
Still waiting.
We spent £50 million less in the wages.
The way I look at the Conference League, it's a little bit like when you're younger and maybe you got an ugly girlfriend. Like, it's better than nothing, but you don't want anyone to see you there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if it is better than nothing, though, because
when they walk out in that Conference League, they will be a little bit like, oh, fuck me, it's not what we're signed up for. Like, And I, what do you say? Like, because they're such an accomplished side, and all of those players, will they now have to take like a pay cut?
No, they might actually get some more money because they're going to be playing in Europe.
Is there a song for that Conference League? Is there a song? Because I
don't even know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, mate. There's an anthem. Oh, yes. KG, get
we don't even know.
Soundboards.
Got it. There's no song.
Nobody watches.
I believe that there's a horrible song for the Europa, but it's growing on me because I've been in that tournament for a while. You see this one? It's just nothing. Nothing happens, bro. Your games have been
that's because the stadiums that they played in don't have speakers. They speak out with an iPhone next to the camera. Show them.
We can have a beautiful pre-season. We're going to have the ability to play our 17-year-olds, and we've got quite a few of them in a tournament. This is actually going to be beautiful for Chelsea. We're going to be Phoenix rising from the ashes.
I don't know if it's a gift and a curse, though, Josh, because now...
No, it's a curse, Spike. It's a curse. I'm bantering.
You guys have to win this as well. It's almost like it's embarrassing that you're there, but it's even worse if you don't win it.
Oh. No, this is the thing. The pressure's going to be absolutely honest to win it. There's a real significant revenue differential between the Europa League and the Conference League. Effectively, the Conference League isn't even worth playing. I think the prize money is like £1 million for like winning it or something. It's incredibly low. What it also does implicate is our summer transfer window. Bearing in mind, because we're in Europe, we're now going to have to sell all of the academy players that we don't want to sell. You know, there are different regulations. The
FFP yeah, because from how I understand it, Josh, and correct me if I'm wrong, mate, is so ironically, this is kind of funny. Newcastle now don't have to adhere to UEFA regulations on our spending. So it means we actually have more freedom to spend this summer than if we were in the Europa League or the Conference League.
Significantly.
It's more restricted. So therefore, Chelsea are actually going to be more restricted just to play in this fucking Conference League. Mental.
Yeah. And look, we'll just say this. There is a very small chance, Brian, that you might be getting a call from UEFA because Chelsea don't want to compete in this competition.
Can you do that?
Yeah, you can. So Juventus did it. Juventus did it, and they let a team below them compete in the competition.
I was actually going to say, not going into the Conference League for Newcastle. It feels like, you know, when you get an invite for a party and you don't really want to go anywhere, and you're like, and then you find out it's called off, and you're like, oh, didn't really want to go anywhere. But then we get the call back, and now we're like, oh, it's on. Oh, shit.
What do you do, though? Yeah. Do you want that, though? Because it affects your
Chelsea. The Chelsea, there's a thing about, like, duty, isn't there? Like, as a club, like, if you get into a European competition, you have to show up. If they say no...
Mate, Todd Bowley is going to sell every single one of our players to get into that tournament. That's just clear. They don't give a fuck about those players. They're ready to go.
I've been watching you guys, and he's wanted to really get rid of the youth, right? That's not the... It's Sir Conor Gallagher, because I'm hearing that Poch. Conor Gallagher was one, and Chuka, who else was in it? I'm trying to think.
Chalobah is the other one. So basically, if Pochettino goes to Man United, which we were just talking about Ten Hag, but let's be honest, Pochettino is so likely to go to Man United. If I was a betting man, I'd be putting money on it. And if he does go, Conor Gallagher and Trev would be unreal signings for you. Talk about you have been chuffed and you giving me banter about Mason Mount's impact at Man United. They're going to be, that's a tenth of what Conor Gallagher and Trev will do.
How does your future feel right now? How do you feel like?
Mate, I feel really good because we finished above you in the league significantly. This doesn't change anything. Like, you won a trophy.
Josh, this is beneath you.
That's so weird how we finished above this fraud and now he's getting the laugh. I don't understand.
I'm getting the banter. It's a joke. Honestly, the fact that where we finished, you should be ashamed of what you're saying right now. You were horrendous.
Blockers are on again.
Oh no!
I thought the hater blockers on again.
We've got an opposite situation where basically there was a little bit extra budget apparently going to be needed for the squad. We'd need extra players. So players who've been in our squad since the dawn of time, like Richie and Dummett, were basically going to be given 1-year contract extensions in the event we got into the Europa Conference. Now we're not there. They're getting sacked. So for me, there's a little bit of like, well, at least we're having a fucking clear out.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, and you can thank us for doing that. You can thank us.
Are you not worried about the squad?
Ten Hag's actually helped get rid of bad players instead of buying them. This is first for everything. Thank you.
Are you not worried about the squad though, Brian? Because you've been decimated by injuries. That could absolutely happen again next year.
Well, I think one of the key reasons that it will actually be better for us, and this is the way I think, people might say, oh, you're convincing yourself, like, you don't want the Europa League. You really wanted the Europa League. No, I want an FA Cup.
Crack.
No, I want an FA. Stop it. I want an FA Cup. I'm not even going to deny Man United fans. You got an FA Cup, and I would love an FA Cup. That is, I'm not lying, right?
I know.
But the Europa Conference, I couldn't give a fuck. I know we showed the Geordie fans celebrating, but let's be real. It was the final day of the season. They wanted something to sing, and we're acting like. But every real Newcastle fan knows this season has been all right. It's not been great.
No, a lot of Newcastle
not been terrible.
Fans.
Given the circumstances, it's been all right.
Yeah.
Not getting Europe means that's slightly less all right. But the reality is, I honestly did not want our first trophy to be a fucking vase, right?
No.
I want Newcastle's first trophy to be shiny, you can knock it, it's hard, it's fucking, you can lift it with 2 ears, bring the fucking trophy back to Newcastle. I don't want a vase that looks like it should be sitting on my nana's fucking kitchen counter. I want a real trophy. So, as much as the Europa Conference, it would have been good to get something if we could have won it, just so... It would have been like,
you saw
we've waited how long for this?
How long have you waited again? How long's it been?
70 years, something like that, right? Longer than a lot of people live. And I might die without one. But if I do...
No, you have to win something.
Oh, mate, if we do get one. But this is the thing. I'm now looking at it going, right, Champions League decimated us last season, so we don't have European football to worry about. Our squad is at its best when it's one game a week. We don't have a thick squad. We now can just focus on the league. I think that this, and tell us if I'm wrong, lads, makes Newcastle more of a threat to Chelsea and Man United for the league next season in terms of league positions. If you're Aston Villa, Spurs, Chelsea, Man United, Newcastle not being in Europe makes us way more of a threat.
I like it. But then again, I think
logical.
It's logical. There's a lot of logic there, but I think Eddie Howe will be exposed next season. I think you're going to be calling fair because this season you wobbled. I've never seen a wobble.
I agree.
You wobbled, and now your eyes on him. Even if you know that kind of thing when you're in a relationship and you're like, are we going to make it? You know anything? Can I really get you tattooed on my arm? Because you know deep down you're like, I don't know. I know you're there. I know you're there. And a lot of Geordie fans are there. And I get it because you're talking about the project and what's next. The same way you look at us, what you
it's
want
not Eddie, you know. Here's the difference, right? Is I have a lot of faith in Eddie. It's the level of investment we need that I don't know if it's coming. And at times you just have to do with what you've got. And unfortunately, he hasn't been gifted with a lot of great players. We still have Almiron and players like that Longstaff starting games. You're like, fuck me. We went to Manchester United at Old Trafford with Emil Kraft in the back four. It's centre back. He's not even a fucking centre back. He shouldn't even be like the level of shit we've got in our squad. It's rough. But if you can we're going for a few freebies right now in the summer.
We're fighting for that. Yeah. Dan Ashworth, we're tossing. I want him badly.
What a surprise. Dan Ashworth doesn't have his own ideas. I tell you what, mate, what a shit show that is, by the way.
I'm saying, Dan, we haven't spoken about that. Mate, Dan Ashworth and Omar on the emails, and he's...
So for those who don't know, just a quick update. So obviously, Man United were tapping up Dan Ashworth prior to the deal being done. And look, that's not something I'm not bothered about because it happens in every player in every club, right? We all know this. But the moron that Dan Ashworth is, he's then used his work email and dropped himself right in it. Not only dropped himself in it, he's dropped in the Man City guy who's also on gardening leave in it. They're conversating back and forth about what they're going to get up to. And they're not even supposed to be working for Man United yet. So, and unfortunately for Dan, he's tried to take Newcastle to a tribunal. He's just put himself in the biggest, weakest position possible. It's a shit show.
But
he's given us so much strength in the deal now.
Yeah. We might have to put up 10 million. At first we offered 2 million, but he said that you sacked him. So it's interesting where this one's going.
He can say what he likes, mate. The contract's there. And look, to be fair, Simon Jordan said it on TalkSport. You're a big boy. You signed a contract. Now you're trying to get out of it. And he's just making himself look like a tool.
He's not looking the best, you know. He's right now in this situation. He's not looking the best. But I'm looking at the whole situation for both your clubs. And even though we finished lower in the league, I feel more confident going into next season than you two.
But where does that come from? Because you do have to gut the squad.
One game, Josh. This is all on one fucking game.
Mad.
Crystal Palace, when they got destroyed, we flashy thinged them, Men in Black style. That never happened now. Do you know what I mean?
I just don't get the confidence. I honestly just don't understand it. Like for me, I feel like Man United have to go through a transition in the same way that Chelsea do. I don't think the best times are ahead in the next 2 seasons.
I do.
I think it will come later than that.
I think the best times are ahead. It's a false position that we finished in. We are going to do significantly better.
There's a games.
The league doesn't lie. Anyone can fluke a cup. Chelsea won the fucking Champions League when they weren't even in the top 4, mate. People can win cups.
So
the league doesn't lie.
Where's your fluke coming? Because you ain't seen a fluke for 70 years, mate. So don't tell me anyone can fluke a cup. It's not that easy. Yeah, that's right.
Like, all jokes aside though, KG, like where does the confidence come from?
Obviously, you know me. I'm as a Man United fan, you know I say mad things. I just believe in this team. I can see what's going on.
I will give you credit, right? The one thing, regardless of Ten Hag and this isn't even about Ten Hag, the youth development in Man United is actually a good thing, right? And that is fuck all to do with Ten Hag. But to be fair to him, he's brought them in and they've delivered, and he's obviously coached them to some degree fairly well. It's the rest of the fuckers that seem to be struggling. They want to spend 400 million on. But I will give credit to the youth setup. I think that there's a lot there where you go, all right, this one's one for the future, as is that one. Build a team around them. You've got some real stars.
And now I'm going to do my job. And this is the thing, because obviously you lot know everything Chelsea, everything Newcastle. As a Man United fan, we know what's going on. When this guy first got the job, the first thing he did is he went to the academy and he said, guys, you're going to play how I want my teams to play. Right now, so I want to.
Did he say that the first?
Yes, he did. He did. He went to the what do you call it? He went to the youth. He went to the youth games. You saw him at most youth games. He said, "I'm going to create a pathway because I know these players need to be in the first team." Because Ten Hag, if you look at his track record, he's always worked with young players. Even when he brought in De Ligt and made De Ligt captain, he did that when De Ligt was like 21. That is really to a leader of men to say, look, you know what? With these young players and his track record with young players is incredible. So he's had this plan. This is even in the FA Cup final, you saw him talking to the next player that's on the come up, and that's Collier. That's the next kid that's going to come through the ranks. This guy actually prefers working with young talent. When Ronaldo and them lot came out, the older players struggle to deal with what Ten Hag's doing because he wants them to run harder. He wants them to listen. He wants to kind of be like a teacher, authoritarian, and they struggle. Jaden didn't run enough. Jaden didn't get to play for him. He wants players that are going to run through brick walls, and they have to be young to do that. And they won't. They'll be durable. I believe that I
think that's a false narrative that older players are just refusing to do the work. Like, I think we've seen at many football clubs, players of all ages can do that. I feel like maybe because of Ten Hag's style, he doesn't gel as well with players who've seen a bit of the world and may have happened to won a few things more than he did in his actual career. Maybe they question him a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I don't think Jaden's in the final of the Champions League, so we'll see how that goes. But
there's a question of can he manage big stars because Ronaldo went, for example. So, but yeah, I mean, look, fair enough. We'll leave it on that for the Man United debate. One thing I do want to pick up: we didn't really explore the Chelsea factor as much as I thought we might.
They're shit. Because they're rubbish.
No, in terms of the outlook of Chelsea,
and you, Jesus.
How's the fan base taken the Europa Conference? Because for Newcastle, I feel like for us, the pressure isn't on Newcastle as a club. The way Todd Bowley has bought Chelsea and invested all of this money to make Chelsea a force in Europe as well as the Premier League, and for him to be in the Europa Conference, how do you feel like that's going down, Josh?
Do you know what's mad, and KG's going to absolutely kill me for this, right? Is that we ended the season on like a real high. Like, obviously we could have finished 5th on the last day if Spurs
the momentum was really there.
So we were upwardly mobile, and so the finish to the season was brilliant. The games and the performances were really good. We were turning it on. Obviously the Pochettino factor was there, and I think it did really come as a surprise, the sacking, and that in tandem with the Conference League has sort of like really taken the sting out of any sort of joy and sort of like promise that we had. But I think for us, right, we've got to look at the sort of the positives of it now, is that in that this is a competition where you can just piss around with it, really, to be honest with you. And you can just play we are filling the, well, this is the thing, like we are stacking the squad full of like 18-year-old wonder kids. And this is, and I'm not taking the piss, this is sort of like almost like the prime.
No, it is actually a good way to plug them in, right?
Yeah, this is like the opportunity that we've got to take now. Like if the board are trying to pad the squad full of those young players and they want them to grow and develop at Chelsea Football Club, then I would absolutely love to see them play in this competition. I think it would be really good. Like Andre Santos, who's out on loan at the moment, he could be a player that comes back and, you know, it really sort of flourishes in this competition. But I think the overwhelming sentiment is that the season has ended on a negative stance. And we called it, we said we've always got to be worried about Man United, but we didn't think they'd do it. And I don't think anyone did.
Newcastle, to be honest, sort of jogged my memory of sort of some of my feelings about why Newcastle lost Europe. And I wrote a few results down. Everton 3-0 defeat, Luton 1-0 defeat, 3-1 against Forest, drawing 4-4 against Luton. There were so many games where we just didn't show up. And that's what I'm angry at the players for. I actually feel like we've kind of dodged a bullet in the Conference League a little bit because I think we're not big enough for a European competition as a squad.
That's right.
But my frustration at them is the way we threw games away at times. And that's something that under Eddie Howe in that first season where we finished in the top 4, we had the best defence in the league. This season, we had the third best attack in the league. If we combine those two, we are a fucking major threat in the league. But we haven't. We can't. And we've substituted one for the other. We weren't killing teams off the season before. Now we're throwing games away. And I think moving forward with Eddie, what I'm feeling next season is you will be judged on how you bring everything together. Injuries are no injuries now. It's time. And I feel like that's one thing where that Ten Hag and Eddie Howe really have in common is, yeah, the fans are behind both managers, but also we both need to see some shit next season.
We want a better season finish. Yeah. Everyone, I think the manager merry-go-round, it happens every season, but I think strong favourites for people that could potentially lose their job in season will be both our managers. I don't know who Chelsea's getting, but I think that's a fair enough bet, to be honest, because they need to do something this season. Now the goodwill won't be as... The grace won't be there.
Out of our 3 clubs, what is the order next season?
This is pre-signing. Pre-season. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say Man United will definitely finish above. I'll finish above both of you guys. I would say it's going to be Chelsea. I'm going to say Newcastle, then Chelsea.
Yeah, I get why you would say that, though, because right now, despite Chelsea having such a good squad, they're in limbo. Right? That's the thing that they need to figure out. So yeah, I guess we'll revise this when we
sign-ins.
Yeah, when Chelsea sign a manager, because what identity will they have? We have no idea, lads. We'll wrap that up there. Let us know in the comments below what you made of the FA Cup final. Were we harsh? I personally, I expected a lot more from City.
You know what?
Trash, man.
You know what? I'm going to play this for both of your clubs. It only feels right.
The Arsenal video. Fuck, I say, what's that, brother? Nah. For anyone who hasn't seen it, you can check it out on KG social media. By the way, there's an Arsenal. There's a video of him outside the Emirates with a perruquery. Winning shit. Bigger fish to fry.
Yes, Johnny.
I was listening like, fuck me. I want to be on the next one where I'm like, hey, winning shit. Yeah. Hey, winning. They could just over the shoulder type jumps. Hey, winning shit. Man. Actually, before we go, can we just acknowledge, like, how mental is it that now people are saying Ten Hag has had a better season than Arteta because he's won the cup?
He's won, but do you know what's more shameless? Arsenal fans are parading a charity shield as a trophy. That's the most disgusting.
I can't
promise you.
You don't.
Arsenal fans right now are parading the charity shield as a trophy.
A pre-season friendly.
You must go and check. It's disgusting what they're doing.
Okay. I can't defend that. I'm assuming you're lying, but we'll
No. It's there. It's a real thing.
It's all over Twitter.
Ain't winning shit.
Do you gotta go
bigger fish to fry.